interested in renewing your auto warranty now, please press 5 now. Or press 9 to be removed from our list.
I can't. It's a voicemail. I can't press 5 or 9. How do you not know that this is a recording? Why do you leave voicemails to press 5 or 9 when it's a voicemail? Ridiculous.
The following program is rated D for dumb.
Okay. Well, you know it's not ridiculous. We're going to do an episode here of Dumbing It Down with Dave. Pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. But in order for us to do it, we have to go for a drive. And hal-in-philly will sing that song.
9 o'clock, I'm bored to death. Smoke so much I can smell my own breath. My baby left me, my best friend's not at home. Can't get that woman off my mind. I've never been the brooding kind, but there's still one thing makes me come alive. Yeah, I'm gone for a drive.
The following podcast is rated D for dumb. You're listening to Dumbing It Down with Dave, the fastest podcast on earth. Listen to Dave commute to and from work on the New York State Thruway in his 2008 Kia Rio LX. He talks about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. Join Dave as he asks and tells you how life ought to be. And now, here's Dave.
All right, that's true. Here I am. Thank you, Alex. Alex Exum, ALEXEXUM.com. Hey, guys, you ready to dumb it down? All right, that sounds good. I'm just about ready. Why not? I've spent all week doing nothing, so I can't be any more ready than this. It is October 26th. It is a Monday morning, actually. It's 12:50 in the morning. I've been on vacation for like a week now, and I haven't done a thing. So I'm sitting here, and I'm waiting for this blue thing to stop spinning on my laptop. It's been a hell of a week with this laptop. I think I've spent most of my vacation watching blue circles spin, spin, and spin. But it's great to sit here. I just gave up. I said, you know what? I can only Control, Alt, Delete so many times. I can only hit the escape button so many times. I finally gave in. It took me a week, but I finally gave in. So here we are on the cell phone, on the iPhone 6S, and we will do the podcast like we normally do. I just wanted to do it a little bit differently by using the laptop to do some reading of stuff, but it's no big deal. So anyway, thank you guys for joining the podcast, Dumbing It Down with Dave. And we're going to do an hour today. We're going to do an hour. We're going to go straight through listeners' comments and all that stuff. But before we do that, all right, let me just want to say thank you. Of course, I thanked hal-in-philly for the song Going for a Drive. And you can go to bandcamp.com, which I still haven't done. I keep on saying I'm going to do it to see what it looks like. But maybe if my laptop will work while I'm doing the show, I'll be able to go to bandcamp.com, bandcamp.com, and you can order Going for a Drive. You know, he's only offering it for $1, hal-in-philly. But you can, the guy's out of work because of the COVID, because he can't do his live gigs. So you want to buy the song for $5, you can do that. You want to be generous? That'd be great. You could buy it as a Christmas gift, or a Hanukkah gift, or a Thanksgiving gift, or a Halloween gift. You could buy it for or an election gift. Yeah, you could buy it for an election gift. Why not? All right. So anyway, maybe during the show, I'll hit the pause button and I'll go on bandcamp.com and I'll take a look, see what it looks like, and I'll share that experience with you. But definitely don't give up now, folks. Some of you have already bought a couple of copies. If you know anybody else, buy another couple of copies. That'd be great. I might be doing that too. I think I'm going to sit down one of these days. But I'm a big talker. I'm not always a big doer. But my intention is to sit down and go to bandcamp.com and buy some recordings and send them off as gifts to different people I know. Hey, maybe even you'll be a recipient of a gift from me for one of these future holidays. Okay. Anyway. So there's that. I thanked Alex and I thank Linda from Awesome Insanity Surfers. If I haven't, I'm doing it now for the Harry rated D for dumb AI voice he heard at the beginning of the show. And of course, the voicemail you heard is just some idiot voicemail.
In renewing your auto warranty now, please press 5 now.
I don't understand what they think they're going to gain from this. I mean, I don't think hitting 5 or 9 makes a difference. If I answered the call, what would have happened? What do they want from me? And I hear other people getting the same call. So what do they want? What's the end game? What's going on in the world? There's so much craziness going on in the world. Yet we have this, there's racism issues, there's election issues, there's so many societal issues going on. And yet people are calling my phone and leaving these idiot messages. And this is only one of several idiot messages they leave. And sometimes they leave them on my home phone, so I can't play you those recordings. But when they call me on the cell phone, I'm like, well, what do they want? Why are they posing as some sort of warranty company? What's going to happen if I answer the phone? So listen, I have a rule. If I don't recognize the number, I don't care if it's unknown or if it's, they like to, on my caller ID, it says like a town, like my town. In fact, one time I got a phone call from a phone number that was my phone number. My phone number called me. I mean, that's ridiculous. All right, anyway. And one last thing before we move on. I want to thank you all for your support for the show. Just recently, a couple of days ago, it's October 26th now, but a couple of days ago, we surpassed 16,000 downloads. 16,000 downloads. So that's pretty good. And then it wasn't too long ago, I don't know how many shows ago it was, I announced that we went past 14,000 downloads, and then we went down past 15,000 downloads. And the first 13,000, I wasn't even paying attention. I didn't even realize. So I don't have 250, 60 some odd episodes of celebrating 1,000 downloads, 2,000 downloads. But I do see a lot of other podcasts out there, and they're very big on that. 1,000, 2,000. They're doing all the celebrating. But here I am at 16,000. So I don't know what that means. I don't think it's a lot. I mean, I think Joe Rogan gets 16,000 downloads in a minute. I think every episode he probably has 16,000 downloads. But that's okay. I'm not Joe Rogan, and I never will be. So that's okay. I'm really fine with that. I'm going to be Dave Canyon for a long time. For as long as I can handle it. For as long as you guys can handle it, I'm going to be Dave Canyon. All right, so that's good. So thank you. Thank you very much. 16,000. I think we're like 16,038 downloads. So I'm not going to announce them every 50. 16,050, 16,100. I'm not going to do that. So the next time I announce it, I'll be at 17,000. But definitely thank you for your support, and I appreciate it. Don't forget to share this episode, share this podcast, with everybody and anybody you can. I greatly appreciate it. You guys must be doing something right, because apparently we're growing. All right, so let's just really get into listeners' comments. I'm going to do the show for an hour, and I'm going to and by the way, while I'm doing these listeners' comments, if you want to comment on those comments, feel free to type it in the Spreaker chat box. For those of you who are listening on Spreaker, definitely, without a doubt, leave a comment there. But a lot of you are listening on Spotify and where was I today? I think Castbox. Castbox, you can leave a comment. Or was it another one? I don't know. There's only a few of my 30 some odd platforms that you can actually type a comment. All right. But on Spreaker, without a doubt, because they host my show, I'll definitely see it. And of course, you can go to Apple and leave a 5-star rating and review. And, but that's not per show. That's like a one-time deal. Once you've left a review, I think that's the end of it. So anyway, but here's what you can do. No matter where you're listening from. And by the way, now I have listeners in India. I have listeners in, what was it, Portugal, I think I saw. I have listeners in, I actually have some Russian listeners, which, I'm not going to make a joke about how suspicious I am. I'm not suspicious at all. I should be listened to in Russia. I should be listened to anywhere in the world. So maybe I'll get the Spreaker website up here a little bit, and I'll just share with you during this hour some of the countries that people are listening to me. I've done that once before, and some of you find it fascinating that people are listening to me from all over the world. Hey, I find it fascinating too. What would be more fascinating if these listeners from all over the world would check in with me. You can check in, by the way, via Twitter, right, at Done With Dave, or email me at dumbingitdownwithdave@yahoo.com, and also, so at Done With Dave Twitter, at dumbingitdownwithdave at yahoo.com for email, and don't forget the Facebook group. What is it called? The Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group. I greatly would appreciate if you guys would check in with the Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group, not the like page, the Facebook group, and it's called that, so it's easy to find. But ultimately. Oh, here it is. Oh, now I'm at 16,046 total downloads. That's not bad. I really greatly appreciate that. And if we go to geolocation here on the Spreaker app, so I'm doing this live as I'm doing the show. Hopefully my laptop won't won't take a dive. Okay, so let me see. United States, 73% of my audience is in the United States. I used to have like 99%, but this month, in the last month, I have had 17% of my audience is in India. That might be because now I'm with JioSaavn. That's my latest podcast platform, JioSavn, JioSaavn, and they're like the largest, podcast platform in India. So now there's this humongous growth in India with my audience, which is great. And I hope they can understand me, because I know I have a hard time understanding them, especially if we all speak too fast. So I'm going to try to speak a little bit slower. All right. Australia, 1.66% of my audience. The Philippines, 1.66% of my audience. Canada, 1.38%. It says here Russian Federation. Is that what we're calling Russia now? The Russian Federation? I'm so bad on this geographical map. But I have 1.1% of my audience is listening from the Russian Federation. Japan, 0.55%. Portugal, 0.28%. Poland, 0.28%. The Netherlands, 0.28%. And all the rest of the world, 1.66%. And let me see. Somebody's listening to me in Orange Park, Florida. Norristown, Pennsylvania, which I think we established was hal-in-philly. Thank you, Hal. Jaipur, India, Jai, I don't know how to pronounce it. Jaipur, India, Jaipur. Akron, Ohio. Syracuse, New York. Who's in Syracuse, New York? Keyport, New Jersey. That sounds like family to me. Thank you to my family in Keyport, who for some reason is listening to me, but they're not telling me they're listening to me. They're not commenting. So it's so weird, because if you're listening to me and you're like my cousin, or maybe you're my sister, or whoever you are, if you're in Keyport, New Jersey, and I know that you're listening to me, and I know you're listening to me, so why wouldn't you just say, hey, Dave, it's so-and-so, and now that we both know that we're both listening to each other or whatever, so here's my comment. I like your show. I don't like your show. But it's so weird that I could see here on the statistics that somebody in my family from Keyport, New Jersey is listening to me, listening to the show, but they're not commenting. It's very weird. I don't get it. I don't get the lack of support. Okay, so Washington, Virginia. Somebody is still listening to me in Washington, Virginia. I don't know why, but they're still listening. But, and there's McCall, Idaho. That is definitely Linda from Awesome Insanity Surfers. And Springfield, Virginia. And then 54.9, almost 55% of my audience is listening to every other city in the world. So for whatever reason, Spreaker won't share that information with me. But here's the thing, folks. Regardless of who you are and where you're listening from, okay, whether you're listening from the Russia Federation, even if you don't speak English, all right? How about this? Even if you don't speak English, here's an opportunity for you to contact the show. If you have something to say about this episode or any episode, call the Dumbing It Down with Dave hotline. It's called the Dumb Line. And the number is 3477. I guess the international number is 1. You're supposed to dial 1. I don't know. 3477 I am dumb. 3477 I am dumb. That's the letter I, the letter M, DUNB. It's in the show notes. So you'll see it in the show notes. And the numerical number is 347-746-3862. Now, I haven't gotten a phone call on the dumb line in a long time. But I would like to hear from people who don't comment in the Spreaker box because they don't want to type or they're not listening on Spreaker. Because a million of you, I don't want to say a million, a large percent of you, and I can go to this other thing I click on called sources. There's a huge amount of you that are listening to me on Spotify. Spotify is 7.73% of my audience. JioSaavn, 14.46%. Apple is 20.4%. So if you're listening on Apple, they don't give you a way to comment. So that's why I'm saying call Overcast. People listening to me on Overcast. People listening to me on Podcast Addict. Addict, ADDICT. They're still listening to me on Stitcher, Amazon Music. I'm finally on Amazon Music. So radio.com. I didn't even know I was on radio.com. And then there's Google Podcast, Deezer, and podcast9.com. I don't even know what that is. Anyway, so I don't know if those platforms have a way to comment. But just call the number, 347-746-3862. If you can keep it under 60 seconds, and it has to be clean, because if it's not clean, I'm not going to play it, because I don't want to get an E rating. I don't want explicit. So you got to keep it clean. There you go. Okay, so let's go to My Month of Hell, episode 245. Let's go right through. I did this episode August 12th. For those of you who remember, I've been talking about this a lot, because I had a horrible month. And in this episode, Dave discusses how he lived the last month, which stems from an event that occurred while he was driving at work, learn what may have happened, and how it affected him. Yep, I'm so glad that's over. I never want to revisit it. So here's some of the comments. I started the comments, and then Alex Exum made a comment about something I said early in the show. He said, "Laundry in the Basement, great name for a new podcast." That is true. And by the way, I know that we did some of these comments once before. I just want to do it once the right way, and then we'll move on to the next episode. Linda Irwin wrote, "Your Facebook fan page is a great place to highlight videos and podcasts by sharing the link there." I get that. I do get that now. People following you will see your new content, and you can visit those links and even like them. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. I'm definitely focusing on the Dumbing It Down with Dave Facebook group, without a doubt. Linda Irwin also wrote, "Thank you, and you are welcome. I think I am down to less than 10 listeners now. There is a surprise specifically including you in a future episode of Crash Dystopia. Wink." Yes, thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. And folks, listen, if you're interested in sci-fi and you're interested in drama and suspense and adventure, I would listen to Crash Dystopia. So go, it's on Spreaker, just like I'm on Spreaker, and look up Awesome Insanity Surfers. She's got the big smiley face. It's one of the most easiest icons to find in all of podcasting. She just has the big smiley face, the big famous yellow smiley face. I think it's a great idea. Okay, Linda Irwin also wrote, "So sorry this happened. If you were just driving a regular car and that happened, it would be no big deal." Yeah, that's pretty much true. But it would be nice if they didn't have cameras in the truck. That's the worst. Patrick Maruki wrote, "What a nail-biting episode." Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. Joe Foley wrote, "No harm, no foul. Scary incident. Glad everything worked out." Yep. Sound Machine. What is this? Sound Machine. Who is that? Sound Machine FM. Well, thank you, Sound Machine. I don't remember seeing this post before. FYI, for your kind of show, you only need one. Okay? Sound Machine also wrote, either a group or a page, not both. Okay? Sound Machine. I have no idea. I got to look them up. I didn't even know that they were commenting. But thank you, Sound Machine, for listening to the show and commenting. Look at that. Maybe that's my Washington, Virginia person. Who knows? All right. Thank you, Sound Machine. Gail Nobles from, what's her name of her show? Dramatized Radio. She has a great radio show, too. Music. She plays all this music from back in the day. It's really great. Gail Nobles wrote, "I love the way you capture attention. You got my attention at the very beginning. You make people listen for more." Wow. Well, thank you, Gail. That's great. I really appreciate. That's a great comment. Thank you so much. And then I did My Month of Hell, part 1.5. How funny. My Month of Hell, my part 1.5. In this episode, Dave elaborates on his month of hell around July and August 2020. He also discusses an emotional and sentimental 1954 Brooklyn Dodgers autographed baseball his grandmother gave him over 40 years ago. Yes, I think I did. So what were the comments on that? Oh, I know who this is. Okay, I know who this is. All right. Wow, she changed her name. That's interesting. Okay, Linda Irwin wrote, "It's been high 80s and into the 90s here. I am heat intolerant. We are also in a drought." Yeah, McCall, Idaho. It's either feast or famine out there. It's either fire or ice. I think they get like 2 weeks of good weather. All right, Linda Irwin, but it's a beautiful place. If you're not, fighting to survive, McCall, Idaho is a great place. Linda Irwin wrote, "Your club baseball information will help the many out there that also have the same thing and falsely think they have something valuable. Pragmatic." Thank you, Linda. You're right. And I kind of suspected, and listen, I never thought for a second that this was going to be like a $5,000, $10,000 baseball. And I did see other baseballs on the internet that looked just like mine. But I still thought it was worth it to get it, evaluated. So I did, and it cost me a couple $100, but I did it, and I'm happy. Linda Irwin wrote, "I blocked that woman who was in my comments too." Oh, yeah, I made a comment about a woman who left a comment in a previous episode that wanted to have sex with me, but we all know that's not true. All right, Sound Machine FM wrote, so you'll never retire then? Because you'd be nothing? Yeah, well, listen, man, making money for a man in a family, that's a big deal. I got to make money. Got to make money. And I got to support my family. All right, bonus episode, listeners' comments number 247. In this episode, Dave reads and replies to listeners' comments from episode 225 to 230. It's a good sample of shows, especially for those who have never heard Dumbing It Down with Dave. The show promotes interaction and engagement and some of its cornerstone principles. Wow, so this is episode 247, but it's listeners' comments about episode 225 to 230. So, okay. Only one comment, and that was Linda Irwin. She first discovered she had MS in 2001. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I'm sorry that you have to deal with that. I know it's very tough. I've known some people with MS. It's not easy. All right, well, there you go. That was a quick one. Bonus episode number 247. All right, episode 248. Biden, by the way, here's the name of the title for episode 248. Biden is going to lose huge. News at 11. A pragmatic, I don't even know what's the name of the title? A pragmatic prediction. That's what it was. It was a pragmatic prediction. This is why I wanted to do this on my laptop, because sometimes the titles are too big and they don't let you see it here on the cell phone. So now that my computer seems to be working better, maybe it'll let me, I'll use it to help out. Okay, anyway, 248. So I voted today, by the way. I did early voting today. I just wanted to share that with you. It was Sunday morning. My wife and I went to Woodstock, New York. We arrived at the Woodstock Town Center about 8:45, and 10 o'clock they started letting us in. And it was so ridiculous because there's only two machines. There was only two machines in the building that you could actually vote with, and they had like three or four of those things that you could hide behind and make your vote, with your magic marker and all that. So it was a little weird, like, because the line got really long, and there were people who have been reporting on Facebook at this place called the Woodstock Town Center in Woodstock, New York. They were waiting 2.5 hours to vote, but there's only two machines. And my town of Saugerties, which is just as big as Woodstock, we don't have early voting. So we're forced to go to another town. In all of Ulster County, there's only 5 places to vote. And I don't know how many millions of people live in Ulster County, but there's only 5. So anyway, we got there at 8:45, and at 10 o'clock they let us in, and we were done by 10:15. So that's an hour and a half. But we had chairs. We were comfortable. If you show up, after 10:30 to 11 o'clock, you're standing, and you're not going to bring a chair. You're going to stand, and you're going to move on the line. But people were standing out there for 2.5 hours, I read on Facebook. So that's pretty crazy. Okay, so Biden is going to lose. Huge. News at 11. And let me see what it says here. In this episode, Dave veers off his intended topic and dabbles in politics, local network news, and people trying to act like millionaires. You know what? I barely remember this episode. So let's see what the comments are. 10 comments. That's a lot of comments. Let's see. I start off by commenting about a couple of things. Okay. Why? Wow. I kind of repeated myself there a couple of times. All right. Linda Irwin wrote, "It would be sunny here today if you could see the sun. We have a grayish-brown fog appearance out there due to wildfire smoke 5 miles away. My first time this summer, I have not gone outside at all." Wow, yeah, I remember that we had a lot of forest fires going on the West Coast. I haven't been watching the news, so I am assuming it's all over. Did everything that could burn? I don't know. I feel like the news kind of reports what it wants and it doesn't report what it doesn't want, and I don't know. I'm assuming it's all over. Your sponge can kill you. I believe it. I've been watching every move I make when I'm awake, and I think I heard it slinking around when I tried to go to sleep last night. Yikes. Wow, that's scary. That's a scary sponge, Linda. Linda Irwin wrote, "Take a breather break in the middle of a wildfire can kill you. Film at 11. There you go, Linda with the comedy. Linda Irwin wrote, Experts weigh in on the satirical, pragmatic humor of this episode. Be sure to tune in at 11 or whatever time you tune in. There you go. And I wrote, Dave Canyon wrote, funny stuff, Linda. Hope you make it through fire season. Sounds dangerous. And then Hal Aaron wrote, Hal Aaron. Really, here's a post. If you think Orange Sunshine. So, by the way, let me just stop right there. I love how, I don't love it. I don't even want to be funny here. I appreciate Hal's opinion. I'm going to read it. I'm going to not point his post. But, I think I've commented several times how one of our listeners, Patrick Maruki, always refers to him as Trumples, which, at this point, it's almost not even insulting. It's almost like Patrick Maruki is like a Jewish grandmother squeezing Donald Trump's cheek, calling him Trumples. It's almost complimentary now. But it's funny how I see people calling them trumpets and trumpers, trumples, and, Orange 45, and Hal Aaron refers to him as Orange Sunshine. First of all, it's largely disrespectful, so I'm not into that. I would never call, Barack Obama or Clinton. I never did that. I know that Rush Limbaugh does, but I never do. I've never called anybody by name. You guys should know that. So I don't really appreciate it here. I like to think that my audience would be at a higher level of excellence, a higher level of consciousness. I'm not berating Hal, and I'm not berating Patrick Maruki. Or anybody else that writes anything negative in the comments. That's why I always say, comment politely. I don't think it's polite to say these things. It's not horrible. I get what you're doing. Everybody's trying to be funny. I just don't find it particularly funny. I do find it kind of low-hanging fruit, especially when you repeat it over and over and over again. But I know that people have this negative sentiment towards Donald Trump, towards President Trump. And I know back in the day, people have had negative sentiment towards Bill Clinton or Barack Obama. And I get that. But you're not going to hear that from me. So I'm just sharing that with you guys. So I'm going to read the comment because I read all the comments. I don't edit anything. I'm just letting you know I just don't appreciate it. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's respectful. And I know that you think he doesn't deserve respect. But on this show, I deserve respect. I think I do. I give you guys respect. So I'm not berating anybody for saying what you're saying. I'm just saying I don't appreciate it. I don't think it's funny, especially when it's so repetitive, and especially when you're not the one that created the joke. You're not the one that, you're just copying and pasting what somebody else wrote. It's almost as bad as a meme. I know I have a lot of rules and regulations about commenting, don't I? Well, that's the way I am. That's dumbing it down with Dave, guys. That's the way it goes. Okay, Hal Aaron wrote, if you think Orange Sunshine is going to get another 4 years, you've been ingesting too much exhaust fumage on the happy highway. And then he wrote something weird, RHEC8NKY. So that's the problem with the Spreaker chat. Once you make a mistake and you hit, you can't edit, which is bad. They should let you edit your comments. Anyway, so if you think Orange Sunshine is going to get another 4 years, you've been ingesting too much exhaust fumage on the happy highway. Any way he could possibly beat Joe is to have every mailbox and mail sorter confiscated so that sane people can't get their vote in without exposure to COVID-19. It would be like if we were playing Yahtzee. I roll the dice, write down my score, and then pulverize the dice with a sledgehammer so you can't take your turn. Then I declare Yahtzee. Yahtzee can kill you. Film at 10:30, which is interesting because the Joker's at 11, but whatever. Okay, Hal. So there you go. I read it. I don't really understand the Yahtzee reference, but that's okay. And I definitely don't appreciate Orange Sunshine, Orange 45, Trumples, Trumpet, Trumper. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't. Okay, anyway. Gail Nobles wrote, sometimes, but I did read it though, and I read it with all the gusto I read every other comment. Gail Nobles wrote, sometimes I have to turn the news off. Everything is so sad, and politicians and the president are celebrities now. I've never seen anything like this in all my life. That's true, Gail. Absolutely true. It's the celebrity, the cult of personality, and just the way overexposure. I think we know too much. We don't need to know as much as we know. All right, how far are we into the show? Oh, wow. 29 minutes and 34 seconds. So this would have been a good time to say goodbye, but we're not. We're going to stay with it. We're going to do an hour. We're going to get through this. All right. So episode 249 would be Biden, Harris, and Matchbox cars. Wow, what was that about? In this episode, Dave talks about Joe Biden's run for president, or what appears to be an attempt to run for president by him and other candidates as well. He also reads some comments from previous episodes and tells a story about being a child and playing with his Matchbox cars. Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. And by the way, for those of you that don't know this, once upon a time, half my life, in fact, I'm going to read a comment that I posted, not on this episode probably, but maybe in the next episode or two, I'm going to read a comment that I wrote in the Facebook page, which I thought was going to get a lot more play, but it didn't. But I used to be a Democrat, just for you guys' benefit, for 30 years, about 30 some odd years, more than 30 years, more than half my life, I was a Democrat. And then I went to Republican after I read Rush Limbaugh's first book. I think I read the second book too. But anyway, then I went Republican, and then I went Libertarian for about a year or two. I really didn't enjoy that. Nothing, and then there wasn't any benefit to that. And then I went back to Republican, and I'm just going to stay here for as long as I feel like it. But I'm the same person. I'm totally the same person. So when I comment on Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or AOC or anybody or any Republican, it's really from a perspective of a guy who knows what it's like to be a Democrat. I think I do. And I got to tell you, if I was a Democrat, I would not be happy with Joe Biden. I'd be like, man, this guy's old. Man, this guy is out of it. Man, this guy is a puppet. Man, this guy. I'd be like, I wouldn't be happy. But I've always felt like most elections are the lesser of two evils. I always feel like it's the lesser of evils. It's never really, that guy. Well, that's not really true. When I voted for Obama in 2008, I really thought, I was excited. Oh, yeah, that guy. But then it didn't really work out. But whatever. It's, it doesn't really matter. So at the end of it all, folks, how do I feel? How do you think I feel about any presidential election or any gubernatorial election or any mayoral election? It doesn't really matter. We really have to look at ourselves. You really have to work on yourself. You really have to get pragmatic about your life. And you really have to figure out how you can exist and make the government irrelevant. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. There's a lot more to that, but it's simplistically speaking, if we all just did what we were supposed to do, we wouldn't need the government. The government only exists because we enable them to exist, because we're imperfect, and some of us even less than imperfect. So that's why they exist. They exist because we mess up. Anyway, and they exist because some of us are lazy. There's a lot of reasons why they exist. All right, Linda Irwin wrote, there were over 100 people that forced their way into a legislative session yesterday unmasked, shoulder to shoulder, broke a glass door. I bet the numbers are going up here in Idaho again. Oh, in Idaho, wow. And they broke into a legislative session. Wow, that's scary. Linda Irwin wrote, using calm to disable your enemy. I love it. Yeah. I wish I remember what I said, but that makes a lot of sense to me. Because if your enemy is outraged, and then you outrage against their outrage, then they're only going to more outrage to your outrage. You're just going to keep on elevating the outrage. But if you remain calm and just talk to them, and you'll calm them down, and then maybe you'll get somewhere. Linda Irwin wrote, I actually had a bunch of Hot Wheel cars, and I used to race them down a ramp in my bedroom. I also had a bazooka gun that I used to shoot with the boys next door. I also had dolls. I was an equal opportunity kid. Sounds like a lot of fun, Linda. Yeah, Hot Wheels, if I remember correctly, came with a ramp. Like there was a clamp, like a vice clamp type of thing, and you could attach it to the end of a table, if I remember correctly. And you get like a little plastic thing, and down the car would go on a ramp. Hal Aaron wrote, I'm working on the page where I can sell downloads of the full version of I'm Going for a Drive. I'll give you a call soon on the Dave Canyon hotline. There you go, Hal. All right. Where we are. Now, life, you know what? Let me pause this because I want to see about this Bandcamp thing. Then I'll get to episode 250. I'll be right back. You won't notice that I'm gone. Okay, I'm back. So, this is really amazing. All right. So, I typed in my browser, Band, BANDCAMP.com, Bandcamp.com. Very simple. And then they want you to sign up or log in, but I didn't do that. I just typed in the search box, HAL, right? space, and then by the time you get to the first A, or I think even the second A, because Aaron is Aaron, it comes up, going for a drive. There you go. So you'll see a white van, and there's a license plate on the back of the van. It says TOTRW, Tales of the Road Warriors. That's his podcast, Tales of the Road Warriors. And it says here, buy digital track, $1 USD or more, and you can send it as a gift. And they also print the lyrics. The lyrics are here on that page. So you can order it, you can copy and paste the lyrics, and I don't know what happens if you send this as a gift. I'm going to click on that. Let me see what happens. Send it your name, recipient's email, and personal message. There you go. Wow, so you really can send it as a gift. Hal Aaron Cohen is a singer-songwriter and multi-instrumentalist born and raised in a musical environment in Philadelphia. There you go, hal-aaron.com. Wow, he actually has a .com. He performs covers and original music throughout the Philly, New Jersey, Delaware, tri-state area as a solo act. As hal-in-philly, he also hosts the Tale of the Road Warriors podcast, which uses I'm Going for a Drive to close each show. No credit to Dave Canyon and Dumbing It Down with Dave anywhere. No, that's okay. I'm only kidding. But yeah, so the lyrics are in here. I don't even know the lyrics. But if you wanted to know the lyrics, you can read them here. All right, there you go. Hal Aaron, awesome live music. He has his own website. And there you go. All right, so it's easy to go to Bandcamp, and it's easy to order the song. It's easy when you know how. All right, where were we? We were going to go to episode 250 now that my laptop is working. Can I do this from my laptop? And if I do it at my laptop, then I can look at my timer. Okay, there we go. Life is Reopening, episode 250. Yeah, baby. All right. In this episode, what does it say? Dave talks about the reopening of Planet Fitness near where he works, which means a return to a search for fitness via his YouTube channel, Dave's Fit Life. Yeah, well, that didn't really kind of happen. I haven't gone back to Planet Fitness because they make you wear a mask, and I can't see being on the treadmill wearing a mask. But, all right, let's go to the comments and see what happens here. All right. All right, not too many comments, and Linda Irwin has them all. Linda Irwin wrote, "Hello, Dave and Dave," or David and Dave, because I used Dave as the AI voice. Linda Irwin wrote, "Sunday will be roughly 60 degrees for a high, and the air will clear out from smoke." Linda Irwin wrote, "I neither gained nor lost since the pandemic started. I have maintained." And Linda Irwin also wrote, "Never too much Dave." Well, thank you, Linda, and thank you for commenting. And shame on everybody else for not commenting. Life is Reopening, episode 250. Did not exactly get the response I was hoping for. And did I say what the show was about? I thought I just did, didn't I? Okay, so anyway, now I just screwed up the thing here. Give me 1 second. Okay, episode 251. How do men make friends with other men? Ooh, that's a interesting question. How do men make friends with other men? In this episode, Dave talks about how men make friends with other men. It's not as typical as you might think, but it does involve alcohol. Dave also discusses about the show's theme song, Going for a Drive. Yeah, I do that. I do that a lot. All right. Hal Aaron Cohen was a commenter. Let's see how many people. Not too many people commented. Whatever. Sometimes, this show seems to go in dips, like a roller coaster. Sometimes they get a lot of comments, and sometimes they get very few. And it's also interesting to see how people follow the show, then they drop off the show, and then they come back to the show. I get it. It's fine. Linda Irwin wrote, "The highlight of a father and son relationship, getting gasoline. Sad." Was that me? I don't remember now. Was that something I talked about? I can't remember. Gail Nobles wrote, "Dumbing It Down with Dave could be a late night show for TV. It sounds like." Great show. Oh, thank you, Gail Nobles. I don't remember that comment. Very nice of you to say that. Thank you very much. Hal Aaron wrote, "Jolly good show, Dave. Thank you for your enthusiasm, your encouragement, and being such a fan of that song." That's right, Hal. You should thank me. I am a big fan of this. No, it's okay. It's my pleasure. And why not? All right. What was that? Father and son getting gas. I can't remember what that was all about. All right, let's go to episode 252. And as I screw up, who is Uncle Floyd? I'm curious too. Episode 252. Oh, yeah, the whole Uncle Floyd thing. That was from Patrick Maruki, who was airing or streaming replays of his show, I think on Thursday nights. I don't know if he's still doing it. In this episode, Dave continues. What? All right. Dave continues to discuss Hal Aaron Cohen's, a.k.a. hal-in-philly, going for a drive, now available for purchase for a U.S. dollar. He also talks about Nancy Pelosi and reads comments from a previous episode. Furthermore, Dave realizes he's been neglecting a fan of the show and his relationship with Uncle Floyd, a television personality from New York. Yep, that is true. I felt bad because Patrick Maruki was posting all about it every week with his Uncle Floyd, and I stayed away for a while, just not purposely, and then I felt bad about it. And I said, no, Patrick's been supporting me, I got to support him. But it's so funny because he didn't comment in the comment box, even though I talked about Uncle Floyd. And maybe he did and he deleted it. I wonder, because I could have sworn he did comment about it. David enjoys helping you out with shows. Oh, that's Linda Irwin comments. David enjoys helping you out with shows. Linda Irwin also wrote, who puts their almighty hair fashion above the health and safety of everyone? See, I don't remember what the show was about. That's why I don't know what that comment's about. Linda Irwin also wrote, if hubby ever dares to open that door, I will get a picture of it. Oh, it's about holding open the door. And Gail Nobles wrote, star, thumbs up. She didn't feel like writing anything, so she just wrote star, thumbs up, which is, by the way, sort of a pet peeve of mine. But with Gail, we'll let it go because she's always been good about the show. Wow. So I wrote, who was Uncle Floyd? I'm curious too, episode 252, and no Patrick Maruki in here. I think he comments in the next episode. Let's see. Let's go to episode 253 and see if he comments on that. What was 253? Let's see what that was all about. We're almost caught up, folks. I'm really getting excited that we won't have to do listeners' comments. I don't mind doing it. It's just the way I have been doing it is crazy. All right. Do you ride on an even keel? ? Does anyone? This whole even keel thing, I find it hilarious. All right. In this episode, Dave revisits episode number 237, Another Friend Bites the Dust, where he talks about a relationship gone sour with a coworker who thought Dave was his friend. Who Dave thought was his friend, right? Okay. Yeah, that whole riding on an even keel thing is kind of funny. So I guess Patrick did delete his comments. Or did he comment in the Facebook group? He might have commented in the Facebook group. All right, so only 2 comments in the show. Hello, Linda Irwin wrote, hello, Emma and Dave. And then Linda Irwin also wrote, I am an independent. I will talk to anyone, either side, who wishes to talk from a logical perspective. There you go. I really thought that Patrick commented on Uncle Floyd, like he gave an explanation as to who he is and all that stuff. But, oh, you know what he did? I think he called in. That's what he did. And if I remember correctly, he called. See, that's the negative side of calling in because I don't have that. I do have the call somewhere. I just wasn't ready with it. Okay, whatever. Episode 254, bonus episode, reading listeners' comments. Okay, which is what I'm doing. Episode 254. All right. In this episode, Dave records the show while driving his Dodge Caravan southbound on the New York State Thruway in the rain on his way home from work. He also reads comments for 3 previous episodes, 237, 238, 239. Okay. All right. Comments on this show were? All right. Not too many. All Linda Irwin. Linda Irwin wrote, David is great at rating programs. Thank you, Linda. Linda Irwin also wrote, it was warmer today, but not too bad out. The smoke is starting to filter in again, but not really bad yet. Okay. Linda Irwin also wrote, we shovel the ashes and rake the snow. Oh, boy. Linda Irwin also wrote, thank you for the great review. All the way to May 30th, 2018 is where the shows begin on Spreaker. There you go, May 30th, if you want to catch up with Awesome Insanity Surfers and Crash Dystopia and all that other good stuff. Okie dokie. Let's go to the next episode. We're gonna pretty much catch up here, folks. We're gonna get really close. Got about 15 minutes left in the show, and I really would love to catch up. All right. Are we too sensitive, too dumb, or any other idea? Oh, are we too sensitive, too dumb, both? Any other ideas? By the way, folks, I'm also on Instagram. Did I tell you that? You can look for Dumbing It Down with Dave on Instagram. We've been doing a lot of audiograms and other things on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, follow me there. I'd appreciate it. In this episode, Dave discusses the possibility that people may be too sensitive nowadays. But then again, are we desensitized as well? Can people be both? Do you see and hear things differently today than you did years ago? Anything cringeworthy now that seemed okay and normal just a few years ago? Yeah, you know what? The other day I saw some Don Rickles. That's a great example. Some Don Rickles stuff, some roast, D. Martin's roast stuff. Boy, this stuff that was normal then, boy, it's cringeworthy now. I've changed. So my sensitivities have changed. Okay, here we go. Wow, a lot of comments here. All right, so Patrick Mason wrote, it's 10:15 p.m. on Saturday, and finally I'm getting to hear the show while on lunch at 7-Eleven, which is out in Long Island. Patrick Mason writes a bunch of things I'm not going to repeat because he's just writing it for him. But I do appreciate the comments. Patrick Mason wrote, yeah, I'm going for a drive. Love it. Patrick Mason wrote, Bing Back Harry. Patrick Mason wrote, please people, buy the song and help out Hal. Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that. Patrick Mason wrote, where's the mileage check? Patrick Mason wrote, Governor Christie Whitman is cleaning the restroom stalls at the Howard Stern Rest area on the Jersey Turnpike. Oh, that's right. I remember mentioning it. What happened to her? She was the last thing I remember. She said, no, there's nothing wrong with the air at the Twin Towers, when they fell down. That was her thing. Yeah, we did it. She worked for the environmental agency or something. She's like, yeah, it's fine. Patrick Mason wrote, take a deep COVID-19 breath. Did I take a breather break on the show? I don't even remember. Patrick Mason also wrote, as we get older, we get more sensitive. That's true. That's true. Linda Irwin wrote, hello, Emma and Dave. Linda Irwin also wrote, hard to do deep breaths in this hazardous air quality from the wildfires, but I did it. This air makes my eyes burn, and it clogs me up in my respiratory tract. Jesus Christ, Linda, don't take a breather break if it's going to kill you. Linda Irwin also wrote, I need you here. Linda Irwin wrote, we all need you. Linda Irwin also wrote, I think you may have something there about how we change in relationship to comedy from before. Oh, thank you, Linda. Maybe in the last 5 years, my comedy was valid and relatable before. But now with everybody being so super politically correct, they do not like it. Or if they do, they must never admit it. That's interesting. Maybe. Linda Irwin wrote, this was surprising. Linda Irwin wrote, Mr. Rogers always makes me cringe, always made me cringe. Yeah, there was a little weirdness there, but when you watch this documentary, you see what a normal guy he was and how important he was to children. I firmly believe that. And I think the world definitely needs another Mr. Rogers, but I think we're too cynical now. Maybe. Linda Irwin wrote, I believe our sensitivities are shaped by what is expected of us in our society at any given time. I believe our sensitivities are shaped by what is expected of us in our society at any given time. Yep, it sounds about right, Linda. Good job. Patrick Mason comes back with, still waiting on the hats and shirts in the dumb store. It's not going to happen, Patrick. Not yet. Patrick Mason wrote, we have to comment. We have to comment. But sometimes the stars don't always align, and we have to do what we have to do. No, I get it, Patrick. I know it's hard. But it's just so much better when there's 30 comments as opposed to only 3 or 4 comments. And it comes from various people as opposed to one person. That's the spice of life. That's what makes the show even more interesting. Patrick Maruki wrote, Johnny Carson was the king! ! Patrick Maruki wrote, Blazing Saddles, ... Totally not PC, but hilarious. Yep, that is true. I miss those days that we could laugh at those jokes. Patrick Maruki wrote, I believe the internet has changed everything. There's an overload of information, both good and bad, true and false. That is true. And Patrick Maruki also wrote, King Friday. That was the name of the king from Pretend Land, or whatever, Make-Believe, the Land of Make-Believe, or whatever that was, Neverland, or whatever it was. I think, yeah, whatever it was called, Patrick Maruki got it right. It was King Friday. All right. And Mr. Rogers was the voice of King Friday. All right, good. Got 10 minutes to go, and we're catching up. I love this. It'd be so great to be all caught up. I don't think that's going to happen, but it'd be great. Okay. Smokey says, oh, this is from September 17th. So, we're only like a little bit more than a month away. We're almost done here. Smokey says, only you can prevent forest fires. And I wrote, I mean, this show was about, in this episode, Dave talks about how forest fires could have been prevented. Why haven't we done that? If we had started back in 1970, wouldn't you think we'd have the forest fire situation doused 50 years later? A nationwide system of pipes and water manipulation would have been 100, if not 1,000 times cheaper than if we started now in 2020. Consider the millions or probably billions of dollars saved in resources such as livestock, produce, housing, and people. We could have been proactive when it counted. Life could have been simpler had we considered this option back in the early 70s. Okay, so this was a very pragmatic show about forest fires and how we could have prevented it. How we could have done more, which is more than what we've done, which is nothing. Patrick Mason wrote, blah, blah, blah. Patrick Mason wrote, it's never too late to donate. Patrick Mason wrote, that's what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to go for a drive. Patrick Mason wrote, great show tonight, Dave. You gave us a solid 28 minutes of an interesting topic. We need more shows like this. 2 thumbs up. No, we don't. You don't need any more shows like this. Just Dave doing shows like this. Or maybe that's what you meant. I don't need more competition. There's already like 1.5 million other podcasts, but that's fine. But you're right, though. It's good to have good conversations. But doesn't that make sense? If we had started back in 1950 years ago, we probably could have, made a huge dent in the forest fire situation. Linda Irwin wrote, Dave endorse platelet donation. Oh, that's right. I played a little voicemail from the New York Blood Center. Linda Irwin wrote, the irony is that the movement that says to save the trees are actually causing them to be burned down because they do not want anyone to thin out the fuels that would prevent such rapid spread of fires. Interesting. Thinning out the fuels. Okay. I don't understand that, but if Linda says it, it could be true. Linda Irwin wrote, the gender reveal party was shooting pyrotechnics. Often Independence Day fireworks causes fires, as do people not putting out campfires completely. Yep, that's all true. Good job, Linda. Linda Irwin also wrote, in addition to hate less and love more, we need to take personal responsibility for ourselves to the benefit of others in any given situation. Well said. Patrick Maruki wrote, great show, but I don't appreciate you denigrating my childhood heroes. LOL. Oh, because I made some jokes about, I don't remember who. Cartoon guys. I can't remember. Patrick Maruki wrote, I think people are caught up in the... By the way, when I first read that, I was really concerned that Patrick was upset with me when he said, I don't appreciate you denigrating my childhood heroes. I can't remember specifically who I was commenting on, but yeah, I get it. Patrick Maruki wrote, I think people are caught up in the daily grind of everyday life to think outside of their own little world. Yep, that's true. And Patrick Maruki also wrote, checking out Davy and Goliath. And if I recall correctly, he posted something on Facebook, some sort of screenshot, because he was watching Davy and Goliath. So, and I wanted to have Davy and Goliath watch parties during the heyday of the COVID, but I didn't know if that was legal or not. But then again, I don't know if Facebook or anybody would have really cared, but I don't want to be in trouble with anybody. Anyway, episode 257. I thought this was a lot of fun. I really thought this was going to get a lot of comments, but it didn't. The Voices of Harold, number 257. All right, I really thought it was going to be more popular of a show, but apparently it wasn't. Did it get a lot of downloads? No. People didn't want to listen to the Voices of Harold, which is great because I don't want to listen to the Voices of Harold either. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of it. Anyway, in this episode, Dave starts off with a voicemail from his deaf dad. See, right there's a line that should attract 1 million listeners. Wait a minute, a voicemail from Dave's deaf dad? Yeah, you would think that would be really a good idea. Dave also intended to review comments from past episodes, but he proceeds to discuss the content and technical aspects of the voicemail. Dave also talks about how he intends to remember his mom for the Jewish holiday, Yom Kippur. That's right, I did. I did it my way. My father wanted me to light candles, which I did, but I made matzah brai. That's how I remember my mom. Okay. Ooh, what do we got here? We got some long posts. We got a lot of posts. Okay. Linda Irwin wrote, I also tear up at Cats in the Cradle. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Cats in the Cradle from Harry Chapin. Yeah, every time I hear it, I can't help myself. Linda Irwin wrote, I am not moving out of where I am now. Yes, it is challenging with fires and blizzards, but we are safer against the virus and the violence.
Time is running out.
Yep.
Don't go over.
Okay.
It disrupts everything.
Okay, thank you.
How much time do you have left?
5 minutes.
Are you
4 minutes.
wearing your glasses?
I am, as a matter of fact. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Okay, got a little timeout reminder. Got a couple of minutes to go. Linda Irwin wrote, I will be your power of podcast attorney in 100 years when you need it done, because I believe you will still be here then. That would be fun to do. The ran out of time and the sequels for you, LOL. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate that. Now it's on record. You will be my power of podcast attorney. Linda Irwin also wrote, I acknowledge everyone when I get the survey from service and product providers. Great job, Linda. Thank you. Patrick Maruki wrote, Cats in the Cradle, a definite tearjerker. Yep. Gail Nobles wrote, keep dumbing it down, Dave. You're on the ball and consistent with the podcasts. I'm busy trying to build a community working on blogs. Yep, Gail, I've been reading them, and she's been posting like crazy on Facebook, and she always writes some really good stuff. Bobby Massey wrote, Linda, so he's talking to Linda Irwin. Look at that, Bobby. If you do the last podcast, you could end it with going for a drive and have a flatline sound, beep, like that. So dark. This is awful. And then we can sample Dave's voice and Lee. See, I don't know who Lee is. Sample Dave's voice and Lee throwing out teasers like he's still around. We can make Dave the new Tupac or Andy Kaufman. Oh my God, I have to go light and candle and ask for forgiveness now. I'll go light a candle and ask for forgiveness now. Great show, Dave. Thank you, Bobby Massey. I appreciate you listening and commenting. All right, Hal Aaron, he writes a manifesto here. Holy cow. And we're going to end the show with this one. So we caught up a lot. Okay. Hey, Dave, Hal here. I meant to comment sooner, but just want to clarify something for you and your listeners about the distinction between the types of cover bands you may encounter for your listening pleasure. One is your regular all-purpose cover band. They're the ones who play the bars and the bar mitzvahs and the weddings and the dances and the birthday parties. Okay. They're the ones you yell to request to, such as Free Bird or Stairway to Heaven, while in a drunken stupor holding a Bic lighter. Each musician gets about $25 to $100 a gig. Then there's the specialists. They're called tribute bands. They only play the songs of one band. They sound like them, they dress like them, and they do their best to look like them. For instance, like it's a Kiss tribute band, they'll each wear the makeup, and the Beatles tribute band, where they wear Beatle wigs and dress like Beatle outfits and Beatle boots and so on. Tribute bands can make up $1,000 per man, upwards of $1,000 per man or woman, or like a Sonny and Cher or an Elvis tribute act can really make a lot of money. Then there's me. I'm a one-man band. I'm somewhere in between a cover band and a tribute band, depending on the gig. One thing we all have in common right now is this. Most of us don't have any gigs right now. So if you'd like to help out by purchasing a $1 digital download of I'm Going for a Drive, here's the link. hal-aaron.bandcamp.com/track/something else. I'm not really sure. But it's really easy. Just go to bandcamp.com and type in Hal Aaron, AARON. Yes, you can stream it for free. Really? I didn't know that. But that would be very helpful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to end on that note. Thank you, everybody. Wow, so we caught up. That was episode 257. So the next show I do will be episode 258. And this one here is 265 that I'm doing, this one, a special 1 hour catch-up episode. Okay, so that's it. We're like 7 or 8 episodes away from catching up. So next episode I'll do will be Burning Candles, The Voices of Harold Part 2, which I'm not sure was that much more popular than The Voices of Harold 257 Part 1. All right, folks, so you know how to get in touch with me. 3477 I am dumb, 3477, the letter I, the letter M, DUMB, or you can call, what was it, let me see if I can find it here, 347-746-3862. If you can't type a comment, you can voice a comment. And please, if you're from Keyport, New Jersey, or from the Russian Federation, or from India, or from Australia, or Washington, Virginia, all these places, please feel free to leave a comment. I love to hear from you. There you go, little sample. hal-in-philly, going for a drive. All right, special 1 hour episode. I hope you enjoyed it. All right, see you in the next episode. What do you think, Hal? Did you enjoy it? Thank you for listening to this episode of Dumbing It Down with Dave. Goodbye, good day, good night, good luck, good riddance, good rats, Godspeed, and great skills. Take care. Take care, guys.